The selfish soul. Those people with whom you can spend an evening, and by the end of the evening, you feel like an old battery fusioned to the metal, totally depleted, and with nothing to show for it. Well, that's the friend you have who only wants you to give, and you give while receiving very little in return. They are like a bucket with a hole at the bottom. Regardless of how much you invest, it is never sufficient. According to the Stoic philosophy, people must engage in relationships in order to help each other grow. The selfish friend, on the other hand, always acts from a position of lack. They care more about what is in it for them and less of what they have to offer. They use people. They will take your time, your energy, or even your money, but you will never catch them doing the same. Philosophically, this isn't just about behavior, but reflects a deeper lack of self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius would remind us that a fulfilled life comes from contentment within, not grasping for external validation or material gain. The selfish friend misses this truth, constantly chasing fulfillment through others instead of cultivating their own inner richness. Always asking, never giving. They reach out when they need something, but their presence evaporates when the tables turn. Any acts of kindness are transactional or driven by obligation rather than genuine care. Service with strings. If they help, there's often an ulterior motive, an expectation that you'll repay in some form. Dependency without responsibility. They lean on you, but rarely step up when it's time to share the load. Being around selfish friends can chip away at your sense of self-worth. Over time, their behavior can lead to feelings of resentment or even self-doubt. You might wonder, am I too demanding? But in truth, a healthy friendship thrives on balance. From a psychological standpoint, such individuals often operate from a place of insecurity. They may be overly focused on their own needs because they fear vulnerability or rejection. This doesn't justify their actions, but offers a lens through which to view them without bitterness. Seneca's advice applies here. Associate with those who make you better. It's not unkind to distance yourself from someone who consistently harms your peace. In fact, it's an act of self-preservation and kindness to both yourself and them. By staying, you inadvertently enable their harmful patterns. The aim isn't hostility, but clarity, and yet choose not to entangle yourself in their cycle of neediness. Selfish friends teach us a lesson to value ourselves enough to walk away when necessary, knowing that our energy is a finite resource worth protecting. A selfish friend, as Buddha described, only takes, gives little, and serves out of fear or gain. Such imbalance disrupts harmony, making self-preservation essential for inner peace and growth. 2. The silver-tongued. Have you ever trusted someone's words, only to find them hollow when action was needed? This is the manipulation of the silver-tongued friend, the one whose promises glimmer but dissolve like mist. Buddha described this person as someone who reminds you of past kindness, pledges future generosity, speaks kindly, but offers excuses when called upon. This behavior stems from a reliance on words to create an illusion of connection. Such individuals use talk as currency, spending it liberally, but never backing it with deeds. From a Buddhist perspective, this reflects an attachment to appearance over substance, a deviation from the path of authenticity. Signs of silver-tongued friends. Words without weight. They excel in promises, but rarely follow through, leaving you stranded in moments of need. Excuses in place of effort. When asked for help, they lament their misfortunes or give reasons why they can't assist. Kind words with ulterior motives. Their flattery serves to maintain the friendship, often to extract something in return. Past generosity as leverage. They remind you of what they've done before, justifying their current lack of action. In the Sigalovada Sutta, Buddha emphasized that true friendship is tested in hardship. A friend of empty words fails this test, offering no substance when life challenges arise. Such relationships lack reliability, eroding trust and peace of mind. Buddha's teachings on right speech align here. Words should be truthful, beneficial, and aligned with action. The silver-tongued friend violates this principle, using speech not to connect, but to manipulate, creating a facade of support. The silver-tongued friend can breed disillusionment. Repeated letdowns may cause you to question others' sincerity, leading to emotional withdrawal. This dynamic can erode trust, not just in that friend, but in relationships broadly, creating a sense of isolation. Epictetus taught that trust must be earned through consistency in action. To the Stoic, a person's value lies not in what they say, but in what they do. Empty promises reflect a lack of character and discipline, traits unworthy of close companionship. Buddha advised associating with those who act with integrity, uplifting you through their presence. Distancing yourself from the silver-tongued isn't cruel. It's a step toward clarity and self-respect. Let their unfulfilled promises remind you of the importance of grounding your relationships in reliability, not rhetoric. 3. The flatterer. Have you ever met someone whose words seemed sweet but left you uneasy? This is the flatterer, a friend who showers praise to gain favor while subtly undermining you. The Buddha described them as those who indiscriminately support good and bad actions, praise you to your face, but criticize you behind your back. Flattery, at its core, is deception cloaked in admiration. It feeds on our desire for validation, exploiting it for the flatterer's benefit. From a Buddhist perspective, this behavior stems from attachment to self-gain, ignoring the ethical foundation of honest and kind relationships. Signs of the flatterer. Praise without discernment. They applaud everything, whether good or harmful, reinforcing bad habits instead of offering honest feedback. Two-faced behavior. Their support vanishes behind your back, replaced by gossip or criticism. Manipulation through praise. They tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to stay in your good graces. Encouragement of harmful behaviors. They may subtly cheer on destructive choices, enjoying the spectacle or using it as leverage later. In the Sigalovada Sutta, Buddha warned against friends who lack integrity, calling them enemies in disguise. Flatterers embody this deception, creating a false sense of security through their words. Buddha's teachings emphasize truthfulness and right intention, qualities absent in these individuals. Flattery undermines the principle of wise association, which seeks companions who guide and support moral growth. By surrounding yourself with flatterers, you risk being led astray, indulging in ego instead of striving for wisdom. Flatterers exploit our natural desire for approval, a trait tied to the human need for belonging. While their words may feel comforting initially, their inconsistency breeds distrust and self-doubt over time. You may question your worth, wondering if their praise was genuine or manipulation. This dynamic creates emotional dependency in future, as you unconsciously crave their approval. Even if it's damaging, such relationships often erode self-confidence rather than building it. The Stoics valued honest friendship, rooted in virtue. As Seneca wrote, true friends are not mirrors reflecting our vanity, but guides lighting our way. Flatterers fail this test, offering shallow echoes instead of meaningful insight. To the Stoic, enduring false praise is akin to drinking poisoned wine. It may taste sweet, but its consequences are bitter. A virtuous life demands discernment, the courage to reject sycophants, and the wisdom to seek friends who uplift through truth, not deceit. Buddha's wisdom urges us to seek companions who challenge us kindly, helping us grow. Avoiding the flatterer isn't an act of hostility, but self-respect. True friends don't feed illusions. They encourage us to confront reality, making us stronger and wiser. Choose honesty over hollow words and connection over convenience. 4. The reckless companion. Have you ever had a friend who seemed exciting, but always left chaos in their wake? This is the reckless companion, a person who thrives on indulgence, pulling others into their whirlwind of thoughtless pursuits. The Buddha categorized them as those who lead you into drinking, gambling, aimless, wandering, and unrestrained partying, placing fleeting pleasures over long-term well-being. Reckless companions may appear vibrant and fun, but their restlessness often masks a lack of purpose. Their distractions become your distractions, steering you away from a grounded and meaningful life. Signs of the reckless companion: encouraging indulgence. They invite you to overstep boundaries, ignoring consequences in pursuit of immediate gratification. No sense of direction. Their lifestyle is marked by a lack of goals or responsibility, favoring temporary highs over sustained growth, exposing you to risks. Their choices often involve danger, financial, emotional, or physical, that they rarely consider, fostering dependency on thrills. They seek excitement at any cost, drawing you into their cycle of restlessness and dissatisfaction. In the Sigalovada Sutta, Buddha warned against such friends, associating their behavior with squandered wealth, ruined health, and social disrepute. Recklessness stems from attachment to transient pleasures, which Buddha described as a cause of suffering. This behavior reflects an unbalanced mind, unable to find peace in simplicity or virtue. Buddha's teachings stress the importance of restraint and mindfulness, qualities the reckless companion ignores. Surrounding yourself with such individuals risks leading you astray, miring you in their endless pursuit of satisfaction. Psychologically, reckless companions thrive on impulsivity, often tied to poor self-regulation. Studies suggest that impulsivity is linked to risk-taking behaviors, which can harm relationships and well-being over time. Associating with such individuals may disrupt your focus and decision-making, pulling you into a similar pattern of short-sightedness. The Stoics viewed self-control as the cornerstone of a virtuous life. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Reckless companions derail this principle, turning your attention to distractions instead of discipline. The Stoic response to such friendships is clear. Distance yourself. While you cannot control their choices, you can safeguard your own by cultivating relationships with those who value purpose and fleeting pleasures. Buddha's wisdom teaches us to align with friends who encourage balance and virtue. The reckless companion, though exhilarating, often leads to unnecessary suffering. Letting go of such relationships is not a rejection of joy, but an embrace of deeper, more fulfilling contentment. Seek friends who value the quiet strength of mindfulness over the loud chaos of indulgence. The parasite. Have you ever felt drained by someone who only reaches out when they need something? As in Taker, a friend who, as the Buddha described, asks much but gives little, performs duties out of fear, and serves only for personal gain. Such a relationship is inherently unbalanced, with one party giving and the other endlessly consuming. Takers are driven by insatiable desire, an attachment Buddha identified as a root of suffering. Their neediness stems not from malice, but from inner discontent, making them seek fulfillment externally, often at others' expense. Signs of the taker. Transactional behavior. Their actions are driven by what they can gain, not genuine care. Lack of reciprocity. They rarely offer support, even when you're in need. Service with strings. Their help, when given, is tied to hidden expectations. Emotional exhaustion. Interacting with them leaves you feeling used rather than supported. In Buddhism, the taker disrupts the principle of generosity. Dana, a cornerstone of spiritual growth. Genuine giving fosters connections and mutual upliftment, but takers invert this, fostering exploitation instead. Buddha viewed such behavior as harmful to both parties. The giver, drained of energy and resources, and the taker, trapped in unending craving. By engaging with takers, we risk enabling their harmful habits and reinforcing their detachment from the joys of balanced, virtuous relationships. Constantly dealing with a taker can lead to feelings of resentment and burnout. Relationships that lack mutual effort undermine trust and well-being, creating emotional fatigue. Research shows that unequal relationships often foster feelings of inadequacy and stress in the giving party, as they're left wondering if they're valued beyond their utility. Stoicism teaches us to act with purpose and integrity, not as mere tools for others' benefit. As Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. In this context, it means recognizing when a relationship is unbalanced and choosing to disengage with grace. To a stoic, enduring a taker's behavior without reflection weakens one's ability to live virtuously. True friendship, as Seneca noted, is a partnership of equals where each party gives and receives without calculation. The Buddha reminds us that letting go of takers is an act of compassion, not just for ourselves, but for them as well. By distancing yourself, you cease enabling their destructive patterns, creating space for both of you to grow. Seek relationships rooted in mutual respect and giving. Align with those who share your values and nurture your spirit, as they will lead you toward harmony, not exhaustion. Choose connections that enrich your journey, allowing you to thrive, not merely survive. The concept of the taker is derived from the Sigalovada Sutta, a Buddhist scripture in the Digha Nikaya, which is part of the Pali Canon. In this sutta, the Buddha identifies various types of harmful friends, including one who only takes and contributes little or nothing in return. Behaviors like exploiting others, offering service only when there's personal gain, or performing duties out of fear or selfish motives. The Sigalovada Sutta is often referred to as the Buddha's guide for lay people, providing practical advice on relationships, social duties, and ethical living. In this context, the Buddha classified enemies disguised as friends into categories like the taker, the talker, the flatterer, and the reckless companion. Each represents harmful qualities that disrupt harmony and well-being in personal relationships. The Buddhist perspective emphasizes the need to avoid these relationships, not out of hostility but for self-protection and moral growth, while practicing compassion for such individuals from a distance. This aligns with the overarching principles of Buddhist ethics, cultivating virtue, mindfulness, and loving kindness as in metta. 6, or the bonus sign, the jester with a hidden blade. This is the friend who uses humor as a weapon, cloaking subtle manipulation, insults, or exploitation in the guise of lightheartedness. While their remarks may seem harmless at first glance, over time, these barbed comments can erode trust and self-esteem. This is a kind of blackmail. This behavior, while not explicitly mentioned in the Sigalovada Sutta, aligns with Buddhist principles regarding the use of speech. The Buddha emphasized right speech, words that are truthful, beneficial, and spoken with good intent. A friend who veils harm in humor violates this principle, and their jokes often reveal deeper insincerity. Signs of a manipulative jester. Weaponized humor. They consistently make jokes at your expense, especially about your vulnerabilities or past mistakes. Selective timing. They hint at your secrets in ways that embarrass you, even if they don't overtly reveal them. These are hints that abide or I can expose you. This is not friendship. This is not equal. Feigning innocence. When confronted, they dismiss your concerns with, "It was just a joke," or "You're too sensitive." Manipulative control. Their humor subtly shifts power dynamics, keeping you on edge about what they might say next. In Buddhism, relationships are built on trust, respect, and mutual upliftment. A friend who insults you under the guise of humor violates these principles, fostering doubt and discomfort. Their behavior reflects a lack of mindfulness, sati, and compassion, karuna. Such individuals often fail to recognize the harm their words cause, prioritizing their amusement over the well-being of their friends. The Buddha's teachings on right speech caution against words that sow discord or harm. Even if the jester's words are not overtly cruel, their subtle manipulation creates an environment of unease, which is incompatible with a wholesome friendship. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control. While we cannot stop others from behaving poorly, we can choose how we respond. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In this case, reacting means quietly, creating distance, avoiding confrontation that may escalate into unnecessary drama. Dealing with this type of friend doesn't require direct confrontation, especially if you sense it would lead to defensiveness or conflict. Instead, follow the Buddhist principle of equanimity. Slowly and gracefully step back from the relationship, letting it fade naturally without animosity. This approach protects your peace and dignity while avoiding unnecessary conflict. Friendships should bring support and growth, not subtle digs that wear away at your confidence. Trust in relationships is like glass. Once cracked, it's hard to restore. By distancing yourself, you create space for connections, rooted in kindness and mutual respect. Seek friends who celebrate your strengths and protect your vulnerabilities, rather than exploit them for their amusement.